Hello, my name is Mercury, and welcome to this brand new episode of Media Buffet. Today, I am alone, and I'll be discussing the first season of the Daredevil revival show, Daredevil Born Again, also sometimes called Daredevil Season 4. So, yeah, we're going on track for the MCU. Currently, not when this episode's not when this episode's releasing, but when I'm recording this, the first three episodes of Ironheart have just come out, which is the series after this one, and this is the penultimate series of Phase 5. And we are almost closing into Phase 5. We're catching up. It's gonna take a while before we get there, but we are almost caught up with the but we are now behind the MCU again, which is fun. But we'll get there eventually, and I assure you that. Well, I mean, I wouldn't assure you, but we'll get to the MCU. And full stop. Just kind of get there, and finish it up. But anyways, yeah. So Daredevil, like I said, Daredevil Born Again is a continuation of the Netflix series Daredevil. Just Daredevil, honestly, and yeah, I haven't watched Daredevil yet. I have to make that disclaimer. I have not watched Daredevil. I have heard nothing but praise for the goddamn show. People glazing it to high heaven, but I have not watched the show yet. I've watched the first episode on like a plane ride, and that's about my extent of me actually watching the show. But I'll eventually watch it and I'll eventually review it. At some point in the near future, I'll be reviewing the show, but not right now. There's a lot more stuff to look at, which I will attend to instead. But yeah, I'm officially going in and I'm going into this. I went into this without knowing, but not knowing anything, but knowing pretty little of what the Netflix show had. And this is also a continuation of all those other Netflix shows, as is going to be simplified by season 2. We'll see. But yeah, also not a I guess kind of in a cool coincidence way, this week is the week that the costume based on Daredevil Born Again for Punisher is coming out on Marvel Rivals. This episode was supposed to release like a fucking month ago, like around mid-May. Now I know I've been trying to catch up like the last for the last 3 months. For most of 2025 I've been trying to catch up, and hopefully now I'm officially going to catch up with the podcast and how it's meant to go. But yeah, I'm officially I'm officially trying. But going back to that, it's coming out the day that this is probably like an hour after this episode comes out. An hour before this episode comes out is like the preview for the costume. So yeah, speaking of sort of that, I've been thinking of doing sort of, I guess, smaller content on Media Buffet. I don't know if stuff like that should be the covering like costumes from rivals, even though it's like something that I do keep up daily and do notify. I have a group of people that I play rivals with, pretty much almost every week. And am I the leader, or is that just who typed? This is a thread that I have here. Oh no, it's just a leader. Okay. But I play with this group and I update them pretty much every week on like the previews for the costumes and which costumes are coming and blah blah blah. So maybe so maybe I'll do something similar, even though like everyone like Miller Ross and X Zero X leaks and every other like Marvel rivals news outlet are cover all like the stuff, all that stuff. But maybe either on like another channel, like my main channel, or the or like I don't know if I do something different for this channel, because like, I know that this channel is supposed to be like episodes and all that stuff. Well, it's not really. Like Media Face meant to be episodes and all that stuff. So maybe I'll upload it for my for my like my own channel. Maybe. I don't know, but yeah, no, I think doing stuff like that could be interesting. Like, not like maybe some reactions to like trailers and stuff. I don't know, like I don't know how you guys handle it. Like I have my Jesus, I have my my channel in the description, so if you want to check that out, I guess I'll put up some stuff. Maybe I'll do a reaction to. Now that I've like less like more free time, I can do reactions to like um to presentations and all that stuff. Hopefully, if I don't know how good my recording software, I get my captioning software is. I know it's pretty fine on like on like looking back at some videos that I did. So maybe it's good enough. But yeah, I don't know. So and I can upload, I can upload that. Maybe I don't know. As like reaction content and all that stuff. Maybe I'll start this July with all that stuff. But yeah, going back to Daredevil. Like I said, I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched any of the Netflix series yet, even though they are officially part of the MCU. They are up there on my watch list, but I have not seen them yet. I will again. I will eventually. I will cover them eventually, just not right now. So, as somebody who has never watched the original show, I know people praise it a lot. Like I've been saying in season 3, especially people consider it like the best Marvel season of Marvel television ever. So it's better set my expectations high for that one. But yeah, as somebody who hasn't watched them yet, I don't have the attachment. I guess yeah, I guess attachment like expectations that people had going into the show. I I have watched every other Marvel show before. I have like uh, and it's been pretty mixed overall with the Marvel TV shows. We haven't gotten. It was a bit tough. It was a bit tough, because like I guess starting off like pretty strong with WandaVision, then doing some weird things with Winter Soldier, then Loki, and all that stuff. Like it was very mixed from the beginning, and then like 20, like I would say, and then like that streak of like just She-Hulk, the Secret Invasion, I guess, then after Secret Invasion, because that was like, I still think nothing will ever top Secret Invasion for being like the worst Marvel thing ever. I regret ever fucking seeing that. Also, I don't know how good Ironheart is. We're gonna take a while to get the fucking Ironheart. I'm going to be real. It's going to take a while to get to Ironheart. So yeah, I may not watch it completely, but something I gotta mention is just the weird release schedule. They released 3 episodes today, yesterday, whatever. And it's like half of the series. I'm like, okay, fine. They can still wrap up before first steps, because I'm guessing that Ironheart is phase 5, and they want to start, and they don't want to like it to overlap with the sort of phase 6, which would be Fantastic Four, so they're gonna set it back. They're gonna release 3, then the other 3 weekly. because it just lines up. Like, it ends the week before Fantastic Four comes out. That's not the case. That's not what they're doing. Instead, they are releasing the first 3 episodes of the show today, yesterday, whatever. And then they're releasing the other... Why the fuck is it like this? Give me a second. I have to... No. Just do week. What are you doing? Or month. Just do month. There we go. And then there were some weird settings on my fucking laptop. God damn it. Remove this. Okay. Yeah, okay. So they're releasing the first 3 episodes, half of the series, like the first half of the series yesterday, June 24th. Like yesterday, today, it's for me today. Well, it's gonna be, it's gonna end. It'd be the end of today in 25 minutes. But anyways, they released it yesterday for just to make it convenient for everyone. They released it yesterday, the first half, and then they're releasing the second half next week on July 1st. Why the fuck? I don't know. Like it would have landed fine if they just did it weekly. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know, like, what is the point of doing something like this? Since, like, it doesn't do anything for the show. It just confuses people. It really does. It just confuses people. And I feel like, I don't want to say the show's bad. I have not watched it yet. I'm, of course... I know that Marvel's currently retweeting a bunch of, like, very positive reviews of the show. I'm gonna hold off until I see it. I know people are rebounding the show. I don't know how good the show is. I can't tell you if it's shit or like just shit or good or the best thing Marvel's produced in a long time. Maybe it is. I don't know. Or maybe it's ass. I've not watched it. I'm not gonna watch it for a long time. I have more stuff to catch up on. Not like I don't want to watch it now. I definitely would. But I have a lot more stuff to catch up on that I would watch before Ironheart. You know? So yeah. But like besides that, I don't know. So I can't tell you. I currently, that episode is like for the end of September. So I'll tell you then what I think about Ironheart if we've caught up by then with all the episodes, because God, it's been a long ride. But yeah, I'll tell you then. But for me, I don't like this. I feel like it could have been just better. It would have been better if you just released it like again first few episodes, just to not coincide with Fantastic Four. I get that. But then just releasing it all that like in 2 weeks feels like they're just trying to get the series over with as quick as possible, and just like, okay, yeah, fine, take Ironheart, just fucking take it. So I don't know how much that speaks of the quality of the show. I've been seeing a lot of conflicting reports on the quality. I don't know what's true and what's not, but we'll see. I'll see. I guess. And obviously, it's just the first half. I know, like, that should be, I guess, the norm. like by the time, if you get through the half of the show and it's not good, then what the fuck, right? But I'm Media Fave. We don't review them by episode. We don't review them like a half or when they're released. We review a series when they're done. At least when that season is done. So that's the usual. Sometimes some people get it wrong and do something different, but that's the usual. It's easier, and again, it gives some more content. It gave some more content. But yeah. All right. So back to Daredevil. This series also kind of had a weird schedule. I won't deny that. It released the first 2 episodes when it first launched, and that's fine. Then it like, oh no, let me find it. It's kind of weird. I'll make a new tab. then it released it like weekly and stuff, like and all that, and then I think episode 5 and 6 released at once on one day, which like okay, I guess. Yeah, the episodes 5 and 6 released on one day. I kind of get it, but I also don't because 5 was the heist episode. And then we had episode 6, which was Daredevil officially coming back. And then it was episode 7, which I've fucking completely forgotten. I'm gonna talk about the pacing and like the whole thing with the show. But okay, yeah. Oh, this is the... Okay. So yeah, just looking at this because I'm gonna talk about the plot of the show, and it's gonna be a pretty big part of, I guess, my critique. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, that was a bit weird, and I thought they released like 8 and 9 at once, but they didn't. they instead did it weekly, like for that one. So they might just wanted to get like Daredevil coming back at just get this over with, because it was like, because episode 5 was a nothing burger episode, pretty much. So yeah. Yeah, no, just it was something. It was something. So yeah, let's get into it, right? Finally, let's see. But yeah, what I want to say all those time ago, I didn't go into the expectations with this show. I was the Marvel series I've been on up, and I've been very mixed overall since their inception. So, and the last one before this that I watched, I mean, I watched Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, obviously, but the one I watched before that was What If, and I think What If season 3 specifically, season 3 is one of the worst shows, like one of the worst seasons by far of any show in Marvel. So I needed like a little bit of a palate cleanser. So did Daredevil deliver? Let's see. Again, I didn't go into expectations, so I didn't know. So I didn't have that sort of level of the expectations of quality that I had, that you usually have. I just wanted a good MCU show, and did we get it? We'll see. But that's not to say I won't be using the first show as like I won't be using it as critique, because I will. I know what happens, and I can see the intention behind it, so I'll get into that, and what they intended to do with like with the original show, and what they wanted and what they didn't want to do. I'll get into that. Don't worry. This show has a lot of stuff going against it and also for it. All right. Let's get into it. First up, the CGI in action. Okay, there is CGI, and you can tell there's CGI in this show. That's not the thing you want to hear, but yeah, you can tell CGI is used in this show, and not this isn't really, I mean, this is kind of related, I guess. There are some shots in the show that I feel are that I feel look like a fan film. Like in the first episode, I don't know if it's just me, and I know this is not the OG team. I know this I know this show was Frankenstein, and we'll get into that. But I know that at least the first season was. But I could tell that there was like a different team going through it all, like in episode 1 specifically, because it felt different. I don't know if this was like the first team or the new team, but like a shot in the in like the first few minutes of the show take me back to like 2010s fan films, which not a good thing, not a good thing. And there's some parts in the CGI where it looks pretty noticeable, like when Daredevil's running at Muse and he jumps, it looks kind of janky. But overall, this show isn't really meant to use a lot of CGI. It's meant to be very action based. So how's the action, right? But it's good. I've obviously watched fight scenes of the OG show. I've watched that, so I know what to expect, or what I would have. I know what people expected, and I gotta say they're just better. I know that it's not what's usually expected from Marvel, where in the OG Daredevil show, it's very like it's like they take pauses, that you see them get beat down and stuff. In here, it's a lot more like a superhero based, more MCU based, which I know has its detractors, and I understand it. I really do, because the Netflix show was made like outside of Marvel. It was basically like the Sony Spider movies if they were good. Glad to know those are over. Well, I mean, Spider Noir's coming out next year, which, yikes. That one's weird. It's coming out on MGM Plus and it's gonna be exclusive for one day if we're going to Amazon Prime Video. Like, I'm gonna be fucking for real. Who the fuck has MGM Plus? If you have MGM Plus, please tweet at me, put in dude, message me showing your the homepage, just the homepage, and your account on it, not your account info, but just I guess a picture of what your account looks like. I don't know what fucking asking. I'm asking for proof that people have this service, because I know doing media consumers, which I know is fucking dead and whatever. I don't know if I mentioned this, but media consumers is dead. I've been thinking of ways to bring it back a second time around, but yeah, currently I think yeah, media consumers is dead. But anyways, after doing 3 revamps, or 2 revamps of what media consumers was, it's gone. I'm not doing that shit anymore. That one was too much. God, doing 50 videos was 50, 60 videos. That was intense. That's more than God, that is a lot. I know doing I knew calculations, and I remember doing calculations to see how long it would take me, and it was always 5 hours of just videos. It was that was harsh. That one was harsh on me. I got everybody there. Media consumers was me. What I did for fucking I don't know where we ended it off, really. I could check. So I know I did it in January. But how we ended off making consumers was tragic. It was some whoa, alright. Where's January? I know we've uploaded a lot. No fucking kidding. We've uploaded a lot, and more to come. 42. So what I did for 33 media consumers, 34 media consumers. No, yeah, 33. Because I stopped 41 doing all that shit. Yeah. That was rough. that was awful. No joke. Yep, 41. back in September. Doing all that shit was rough. But yeah. Anyways, what I was saying, I forgot. I actually completely forgot what I was saying. That fucking on me for just going off on a tangent. Anyways, like back to the action. Like, I guess just picking up, not where I left off, but definitely I guess like somewhere. The action, yeah, I was saying going back to a place I know I mentioned. I didn't have the expectations, but I know what they looked like, and I gotta say it's fine. It's MCU action. There's not a lot of pauses, not a lot of stuff. There's not a lot of like all that. And there's just not a lot of it, really. There's one in the first episode. Then we get to 6 and like episode 5 where we had like the heist one, which is fucking weird. I'll get into that. Then there's 6, which is like officially like when Daredevil comes back. Then 7. Then 8, I don't think has any action. If I had to, I don't think 8 has any action, right? Or am I fucking stupid? No, it has some. Okay, yeah. So there's some, but yeah, like, towards the end is when we get like action, and it's not like any MCU stuff. They do like any of the Daredevil stuff. They do sort of, I guess, try, but there's not a lot of it. And yeah, and it's not, again, it's not like it's bad. It's just different, and I feel like that's something that I'm not mad about, I guess, but it's something that I understand. I definitely do. I understand if you don't like the action of the show in any way. Like, I get it. It's different and it's not as good as it was. Like, I understand, like, not like there's some things that where I was like, oh, it's different. You don't like it because it's different, but it's still like good. I understand here. Like, there was a style to that sort of stuff and an essence and all that. So seeing that just kind of taken away, that's weird. That is weird. God damn. Just realized how long it's been since like since when this episode was supposed to come out, and the last new type episode. God. And anyways, yeah, I understand not really liking the action in the show, but for me, I liked it. I understand why it's a downgrade, but I liked it. Sorry to say it, but I did. So yeah, not much more to say in that department. Let's just I guess let's move on to the big thing here. There's a lot of these all these things. Hey, overall, I like the action. I understand it's not as good as like what we've seen in the original shows, and the CGI looks a bit weird. But let's get into the real meat on the bones, I would say. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of meat on these bones. There's 9 characters. Yeah, let's get into the characters. Starting off with the man himself, Daredevil. Okay, so I again, like I've been saying, I haven't watched the first show, the predecessor to this show. So I don't know much about Daredevil's like character arc in those shows, but I have watched the beginning to this video critiquing this show. The beginning to video critiquing this show, and he said that a lot of like the seasons after season 1 of Daredevil, like season 1 and season 2 and 3, were about like Daredevil Matt Murdock hanging up the not hanging up, but like taking a break and then finding himself and then going back in and back in there. Season 2 is about like one of them is about like how he's like too involved with Daredevil, with the Daredevil persona and all that, and he said that it's a bit overdone, and I do agree. And I have a feeling that if the makers of the current makers of the show were in charge of it from the very beginning of it, I have a feeling that they'd probably go in a different direction than what they did and then what the original writers did. But to be completely honest, they went in a way. The original writers didn't leave much room, and it's just the old writers' fault. And there's a lot there that I understand. I understand where it came from, like both story wise and I guess like production wise. I understand where they were going for here because the series was supposed to be like it was originally going to be like its own separate thing that people were saying like Marvel higher up said to the to the makers, oh, don't watch the original show, don't take inspiration or whatever. And then they were like they backtracked to actually making a continuation, but a lot of stuff was already written, and then the creative overhaul went through, so it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of stuff, and it definitely shows in Daredevil because I'm pretty sure that if the new writers were in charge of the show since the very beginning and none of these like I guess limiting factors to set in for the show, then I think we probably would have gotten a much more original storyline than what we got here in this show. Because I and that's not to say I don't think the Daredevil stuff like the Matt Murdock stuff in this show is interesting. Of course, I think Matt Murdock not being Daredevil for a whole 6 episodes would turn off some people, and I do completely understand. But I feel like what they did in that time was actually, I feel was like good. I feel like all the stuff with him with the white tiger stuff and how he handled that and how like we see him fighting for the vigilantes and stuff is good, and that's like the first big thing of the whole of the series, and then like the Muse stuff, and him, and it was all building up to him coming back as Daredevil. So yeah, I mean, I liked what they did with the character, and I don't mind a slow burn. Like I said, I know a lot of people that would be a turnoff, but I don't mind a slow burn. But yeah, like this show. This show does like I guess tread a little bit on what the original show did, and that's a big complaint. I completely understand that, and this show does take a while to get to do Murdock's character arc. But I do think that the time they took to get through Murdock's character arc, I think, was handled pretty well. And it's also, I guess, that's what they tried to do with the show. I think it was interesting to see Daredevil without its usual cast. I know that a lot of people were very apprehensive to it because we knew ahead of the show's release that there was some really weird stuff within that was happening within the show, like with Foggy dying and Karen not being there. But it was interesting to see like how they would handle that. It's just a matter of fact that the characters have to be as interesting, and we'll get into those characters But yeah, I like how the show sort of towards towards like the midpoint and all stuff like teases the fact that like it's like kind of pushes Matt Murdock to actually go back to being Daredevil. There's some weird. There's some weird pacings when it comes to this. Like at the end of episode 4, we see that that Matt is practicing with his weapons, the clubs, the billy clubs, and then we get then we get the bank heist episode, which gotta say does nothing, but that's beside the point. I'll talk about that when we get to the plot. So we get into there, and you think, oh, Matt is back, but then in episode 6, it's like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna go be Daredevil now. Like he's apprehensive when I thought that okay, episode 4 was establishing that Daredevil was gonna come back, and it's like nope, and it's like okay, that's weird. But yeah, that's just I don't know. I like what they did with Matt this season. I know that it's not like that's very like it's treading old ground, but I like it for what it was. And but that's like the only thing really bad. It's like not bad, but like weird. It's like okay, they set up Daredevil and like coming back in episode 4, but then in episode 6 when he actually decides to suit up, it's like what the fuck? Like come on. That's what I felt. But you know, I like Matt in the show, and especially after waiting so long to see him like fully be the main character again. After seeing him in No Way Home and She-Hulk, in your feeling him with Spider-Man, even though that was an alternate universe version of him. What the hell? Did I close it? Nope. Yeah, I like Matt and Daredevil in this show. Next up is Kingpin. Okay, so Kingpin in this show is interesting. They adapt the version of story. They adapt the Devil's Reign storyline from the comics, and that's when Kingpin, Wilson Fisk becomes the mayor of New York, and it makes for really interesting stuff. Again, we've also seen Kingpin in other MCU media. We saw him in Hawkeye and in Echo. And Echo, they kind of he was but yeah. But anyways, in here, it's I feel like it was interesting because what we saw with Kingpin is that he can't be his normal sort of so again, he can't be the Kingpin. He had to be the mayor of New York, but he kept going in these like very lawfully gray areas to do his work. I don't know at what point he decided to sort of quit doing that between Echo and now. Oh wait, no, I know why. He saw like a thing like he could run for mayor, and he did. And it was interesting. I think it was an interesting thing, and also how it makes it makes a parallel with Matt, where Matt is like it doesn't Matt doesn't want to be Daredevil, or it gets pushed to be Daredevil, while Kingpin just like can't really, like Wilson Fisk can't get the Kingpin out of his own, like he can't stop being the Kingpin. Like he wants all this control. Like we see that throughout the show. Like how in the show we see how he wants to do certain things, but the processes that he has to go through don't really don't like limit him a lot, and he wants to kind of go back to doing like the normal his normal routine, so he can have like complete control of the city, which is what he eventually does in the finale. But yeah, I think that was a very interesting thing to see, and how it sort of like built up through that, and also how we saw him like become very very violent throughout the show, and also yeah, again, like slip back to his own ways, into his old ways. He's definitely he's definitely a bigger villain, like a lot more intimidating than he was in Hawkeye or in Echo, especially Echo. Jesus, Echo really 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 ruined him, or like at least made him look like a wimp, because he just goes down and fucks off. It's like, come on. But in this show, he plays it a lot more. We never see him fight Daredevil. That's the thing. We never see him actually fight Daredevil. It's mostly just because he can't really go hand to hand. Again, Matt has just come back as Daredevil, and is trying to prove that Wilson Fisk is a problem. So yeah. Oops, there we go. So yeah, like and all of that, and that's mostly what the last 2 episodes are about. Instead, but yeah, no, and yeah, he's a lot more threatening, and when he splits like Gallows, like whole like see when he like fucking smashes Gallows' skull, like I didn't think I would see that, but yeah, it really made me like. It made me see like, wow, okay, so this guy is not fucking around. These guys are not fucking around. But yeah, and we also, again, throughout the show, we see him like establish a bunch of stuff where it's not technically like it's his like private militia, and also the plot with him and Vanessa trying to take like Red Hook and make it into like its own city state. I saw somebody say it's like that's just the plot of a Family Guy. So there, I'm gonna look it up. Daredevil. Kingpin plan. But as I heard that like the like Wilson Fisk plan in the show is basically like a joke that fucking that Family Guy made, where there's like this like one piece of land that nobody owns, nobody cares about, and somebody turns into his own city state, and that's what Kingpin's trying to do. Which honestly, I know it's a gag, and I know I mean it sounds stupid then, but honestly, that's like an interesting thing to do, because you could technically do that. Like, sure, like yeah, you could technically do that, like, and rebuild it, and that's something that we see throughout the show, but it's not really explored a lot. And I'll get to that. I'll get to it, because there's certainly a lot of things here where it's very apparent that went through like 3 different revisions, and every single one of them made the cut. It's very apparent. But yeah, I like a lot what they did with Kingpin. It's very interesting and all, and I know that a lot of people were disappointed and didn't really see, and didn't really think that the show was as good as the other ones, but as the first few. But I gotta give. I gotta like make it known that this show takes place many years. It takes place in, I think, 2026, 2027 is when I think this show's supposed to take place in MCU canon. So this takes place 8, 9 years after the end of the first of the Daredevil show. Like, it takes place a long time. So seeing how these characters have grown since then, I think is something that we should have seen, and seeing how, like, what they're up to and how they've changed. Yeah, I think it was necessary. Yeah, and especially with Matt, like, again, losing all of his, like, all of, like, the cast there. I do see why the new directors want to bring that back, and I think it'll make for, I think, a more worthy successor. But I'm always open to exploring different ideas as long as they're written well. And this show, I feel like, tackles it well enough. I do have my problems though. I gotta talk. This show, I know I've been kind of praising it a lot right now, but I will get to problems I have with the show that are, like, detriments, not just, like, things I would, like, they should do better or what the fuck. I think it's, like, genuine detriments the show has. Like, I haven't watched the first show or any Netflix shows. I will eventually, but I haven't now. So yeah. Let's move on to the next character I have, which is White Tiger. So this character we knew was gonna be in the show for a while, since the test, since the set photos leaked and all that. We knew that White Tiger was gonna be in the show. We didn't know to what extent, but yeah, he was certainly in the show, and I do like what he did and what he sort of represented for not only himself, for Daredevil, and also the entire thing. Where now it's like, well, Kingpin doesn't like vigilantes, so he, like, doesn't want White Tiger to win the case, because then it brings new light to, like, to vigilantes. But then Daredevil, it's like, Matt feels empathy for him and all that stuff. So he wants him to win the case, but also kind of sabotages his own life in the process. Where it's like, where he pretty much just he pretty much gets Hector Ayala killed. Yeah, I guess indirectly, but he kind of does in a way. Even if, like, it was Hector's decision to, to put on the mask. It was a bunch of different things, and that's something I criticize about the White Tiger that we have, where he, even though he got told off, like, hey, do not put that mask back, you will have enemies out there, because people don't like vigilantes, thanks to Fisk being the mayor, and also the whole thing where they go after and have, like, the anti vigilante task force, or whatever it's called. AVT, I don't know what it was called. I think it's legit called the Anti-Vigilante Task Force. But we have that, and then we have the and then we have, like, the people pretending to be Punisher and all that stuff. Yeah. But it's very characterizing when we see, like, it's a good characterization when we see him, like, put on the mask even though he got told off, and he wants to still be a hero even if it costs his life, which it does, sadly. But yeah, I think White Tiger is a very good addition to the show, and it also I'll talk about it when we get to the future, and I know we don't talk about set leaks, but it's something that happens in the comics, so I gotta bring it up. Or something like that. I don't fucking remember. Who was in the thing? Who was the? Was it not? By the way, if you guys hear anything weird in the background or anything, like big explosions or whatever the fuck, I'm not at war. I want to make that clear. It's the neighbors watching something. I don't know what. I don't recognize the movies. They always watch like something I just do not fucking recognize. Maybe it's just me and my dumb uncultured fucking brain who can't watch movies for shit because I can't binge watch anything. Even though I kind of want to start like watching a lot more stuff. It might just me who doesn't fucking know movies to a certain extent, even though I've watched a lot of movies. But yeah, if you hear anything, it's the neighbors. I'm sorry, and also they're like cutting grass or whatever the fuck. I don't know what they're doing. I think that's a pressure washer. I'm going insane. It's like that one video of the guy of that one math professor who's just going clinically insane and giving like the last course of what the fuck, and he goes yeah whatever, and then he like looks out the window and sees like his neighbor like jogging. He's like I think my walk is faster than that guy's jog. It's like okay man. Anyways, now I'm being that guy. Anyways, yeah, White Tiger. I'm gonna talk about that in like the future section, and all that stuff. But yeah, I'll get to it at some point. But I do. But wrapping up White Tiger, I like what they did with his character here. I think it's very cool. Let's move on to the Punisher. Now, I think the Punisher it's a very interesting character to talk about within the context of this show because it seems like the original writers, did not want to use this character at all. They wanted to allude to the character, or at least like give some things here and there, but it was never something that was in the cards for them to actually follow up on. Because if you guys don't know, I think every single scene that the Punisher was in for this show was made by the new writers. It wasn't made by the new directors. It wasn't made by the original ones. Like the scene where Matt goes to the bunker and all that shit, that's all like new. That's all like new stuff in episode like 3 or 4, where the fuck it was. Then like then episodes 8 and 9 are all completely made by the new and episode 1 to a certain extent was made by the new directors. Yeah, Punisher's a very interesting character to talk about because the show will also a lot about him and his like and the stuff we see with him and like the cops, and how the cops in this show like glorify him and like look up to him without understanding what he really does and like why he is who he is, which is like you probably already know the fucking story of the Punisher, but it's like the law doesn't he doesn't think the law allows like it might be me butchering it, but he doesn't think that the law, like the confines of the law, allows for true punishment to actually be exercised on people, so he does the punishing for them. Yeah, that's entirely what his character is. And I like that this show tackled that, something that happened in the comics. And not that I want to talk about it a lot here, because politics is not something that Media Fake talks about a lot, and it talks about anytime. It's like we don't talk about it, but it's something that has creeped into the real life. So I think tackling here is a good thing, especially since this show specifically had a lot of eyes on it, because they thought, oh, this is when Marvel's gonna come back. It's like, this is the first good show in a while, even though I think that there have been good shows that aren't the first few ones. Controversial opinion, I know. I like Agatha all along. I do. But I do like this. They both have problems. They both have problems. But I do like Agatha all along. I didn't like What If. I liked to some extent. I liked During the Frame with Spider-Man. I thought it was good. And there's some other shows. I got other shows that have been hit or miss. But yeah. But yeah, Punisher is very interesting to talk about in the context of the show. But yeah, it really does feel like in this show, like the original writers did not want to use him because he does not show up at all. It's like it's very little that we actually get with like the Punisher stuff. It was just like kind of at the beginning and all stuff, and it's just kind of not talked about in like the in episodes 2 to 7. This is not something I really talked about a lot, and it's brought up a lot more in episodes 8 and 9. Which, cool that they're gonna tackle that. It's something that I think the season 2 is also gonna tackle. Well, and some other stuff that we have coming up that I think are gonna tackle. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Punisher, very cool. You fucking hell, very cool. And I do like what they did in the show. And I'm almost interested to see what the original plan was for Punisher in the first season, because he was supposed to show up. But again, like I said, like it feels like the writers didn't want to use him because John Berthal did not like where the character was going in the original plans. Like it's so crazy to think that like the people behind like this show, like Charlie Cox and John Bernthal. And I don't know to what extent Vincent D'Onofrio talked about the original plans, but he probably did. Like specifically Charlie Cox and John Bernthal, how much they fucking badmouth the original plans of the show, and how much everybody says, yeah, no, these guys are gonna be better. It's gonna be better. It's so weird. It's so weird to really think about, but yeah. Anyways, let's move on to a character that first appeared in the show, and I think this is we talked about a little bit, but I'm like looking back at when I actually made this, I'm like, why the fuck did I put this character here? It's Heather. Heather is an interesting character. She's the love interest of for Matt in the show. And also some ties to Muse that we have here and there. She's a therapist and also is Wilson Fisk and Vanessa Fisk personal therapist. Just like I don't know which one it is, but yeah. Anyway, she's here and she eventually turns her back on vigilantes and all that stuff. And I think it's an interesting it's an interesting take on the love interest for Matt, and like something like a character close to Matt, and it kind of distancing themselves from that, and seeing how they get turned away from that away from Matt, and like how Matt disagrees with her without revealing much of that stuff. It's very interesting. It's something that we didn't see. I don't think we saw with Karen. I haven't seen the show, but obviously Karen eventually finds out that Matt is Daredevil at some point in the show, in the first show. But yeah, but the thing is, I feel like Heather, for as much of a character, for as much as a big character trying to play her up, I don't think she's given much development, because like the entire extent of that is like, oh, she asks about vigilantes, then like the Muse stuff happens and she doesn't believe anymore. It's like, okay, man. Yeah. It's weird, but I mean, yeah, whatever. We'll probably see more of her in season 2, because it seems like a lot of what season 1 was trying to do, and at least like in the last few episodes, it's like mostly like bringing back the old cast and all that stuff, so we can so the newer cast is mostly like very like in a gray area, and doesn't really know what to think about all this stuff, about the stuff that's going on with the vigilantes and all that stuff. So yeah, so it's bringing. So the old cast are bringing like the light to this, like to the new characters, which I think is an interesting take to go with the show, and probably gonna be a big part with Heather and all that stuff. So yeah. Anyway, speaking of love interest, let's go into Karen. She does not show up until last like 2 episodes. She shows up in episode 1. That's because we had to know where she went. And honestly, I don't know why she went to San Francisco or Los Angeles or whatever. She went to California. I know that. It's been a long time since I watched the show. I'm talking about it now in fucking June. Like, oh, Uh, yeah. Like the show and all shit. But I gotta say, I finished it when it aired. This is like the last show I actually watched when it aired. So I gotta catch up on some other stuff, and it's like, oh, damn. I gotta catch up on shit. But yeah, Karen. For as being as a like a character to show up in the first show, she does not get mentioned at all as much until the last few episodes. And I think it was a good choice bringing her back just to have a character like from here and we see that, and having it from the old cast. And if it's gonna be anyone, it's gotta be Karen, because she's the only one that's actually fucking alive. And Punisher, of course. But yeah, it's sad that we don't see a lot more of Karen and what she went through. Like after that, I think it could have been interesting to explore if the writers didn't just send her off to fucking California for no reason. I think it could have been an interesting character to explore, but that's besides the point. It's just sad that we don't see a lot of this character, and we didn't even get mentioned of her at any point in time, really. So yeah, that sad. And for me, like I said, I'm interested in seeing different ideas, and they're taking things in different ideas if they're written well. And I think this is the major blunder. I think not having Karen around to make Matt question, like really question if giving up Daredevil was like a good thing or a good idea, is I think a really weird decision. So yeah, let's move on to Vanessa. I think it's interesting that what they went with here, with her having like the fucking love interest or whatever the fuck, like that they had going on with her. I forgot what he was called. It gives Adam, yeah, Adam. Yeah, and like we see her like giving up, and how she inherited all of Fisk's things after I think he went in jail, and then like went back into it with for Hawkeye and whatever the fuck. And also how she's very much involved with the Red Hook project and all that. And just kind of seeing how she also kind of edged on like egged on King like Wilson. That would have been a very bad thing to say. Egged on Wilson to actually go back to his old ways, or and like I also like and how Wilson tested her of their love and all that stuff. It was interesting thing, and also the whole thing about Vanessa getting Bullseye to go kill Foggy because he was about to win a case against her. Yeah, like an activity in Red Hook. So she's been planning things for a while for Fisk's return and all that stuff. So yeah, and it's been a long time since we saw her within both the timeline and also in the real world. So getting to see a lot more stuff, and how much she really cared for Fisk, and also how much turmoil like we saw through them in the whole thing, and how she kind of disapproved of Fisk's like I guess mayor stuff, and how again she egged her on to go back to be the Kingpin. I think it was good. And yeah. So let's move on to the last character before I talk about whatever the fuck. Muse. Very disappointed. I thought that Muse would be used a lot more, but it really wasn't. I think he's like one of the biggest, the series, like this season's biggest blunders. I think mainly because just the writers. We really didn't see much of him, and he was just like, oh, he showed up here, he got beaten up by Daredevil, and then like they all had their thing, and then he got killed. Like, okay, man, you really did not do anything for being such like a cool character to see around, and also somebody that like he just got taken care of, and it's like, well, that's that. Even though people like the show was building him up to be like a really big thing, it was just not a thing. It was just not like anything. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It was very disappointing to see like Muse just kind of reduced to nothing, really. So yeah, and some other characters, Bullseye I can talk about a little. I think Bullseye's very cool, and also how Daredevil just fucking sets him free. And to go kill fucking Fisk, or at least like. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and I like how like the thing is that the bad thing about Bullseye is that it's just not mentioned at all through the entire plot, through that thing of the show. Never mentioned, never done anything with it until the last 2 episodes. I think that's like the main thing. That's the bad thing, and that's what I'll get into in a bit. That what the new writers wanted to do and what the old writers wanted to do was completely different ideas, which really impacted it in a negative way. So yeah, let's actually just really get into that. Let's get into it. So, like I said, this show went through many revisions throughout its lifespan, which you could see as an either good or bad thing. I choose to see it as a bad thing, because this show took a lot of weird made a lot of weird choices that just impacted it further. And I gotta say, the pacing in this show is really weird, because you can tell when the new writers took over. Because the thing is, when the overhaul happened, they had already filmed like 6 episodes worth of footage, and they were just not gonna scrap that. It would be too much money lost, and all stuff. So they decided to, instead of doing that, make the new writers say, okay, build a story around this, and just go. And then when we get to season 2, just do whatever the fuck you already wanted to do. It's like, fine. The problem is that's not how you do storytelling. You don't just like, okay, here's what these guys want to do. You guys want to do something else. We want you to go in a completely different direction, but you guys have to do this first. It's like, okay, fuck. We gotta fill in the shoes. We gotta fill in the cracks. And the problem is that it's clear that the show was like, when these episodes were being made, when the 6 episodes were being filmed, it was clear that the show was still in its was still being made with 18 episodes in mind. Like, the fact that episode 5 was there in the first place, which is the bank heist episode, which adds nothing to the plot. It's very clear that the first 6 episodes, like those 6 episodes, like a lot of episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7. Those episodes were made with the intention of having it be 18 episodes. So when we get to episode 8, it feels a very drastic change when we eventually, okay, we got to fucking wrap up the Bullseye stuff, all this other shit. With Red Hook, we got to wrap it up. It's very apparent that that's not what the original creators want, like how the creators had the pace going. But they were like, okay, we're gonna cut it down to 9. We're going to we're going to like we're gonna wrap this up as neatly as possible, leave it open for season 2, and just go in the direction we want to do. But yeah, I don't I don't blame. I've been saying, I don't blame the new directors. They were in a really weird position when it came to the show. Like, really, really weird. But I think they managed to actually make some good out of it. Hey, I think episodes 8 and 9 are some of the best things out there. Even if the shift in direction came out of fucking nowhere, basically. I think that what they managed to do with the show was actually a solid attempt at making sense of just kind of being left with this and told do something else with it. And hey, again, like kudos, like they made some of the best Marvel things ever. Like Moon Knight, I know it's a very controversial thing, but I think Moon Knight's one of the best shows of the MCU. I think for me, it's the best show of the MCU. And then they also made the fantastic Loki show, both seasons, which some of the best Marvel TV there. I don't know if Daredevil will ever beat that. I mean, I think Daredevil will probably beat it, but we'll see how I think about that show. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to setting myself too big of expectations for the show, but we'll see. But yeah. And also, you just kind of, for me, like with the shows, you could really tell, like between directors, you could really tell that the new ones really put an emphasis on what was actually important with for the show. Whereas, like we have like we have like again like the older directors like the fucking like they could waste the time because they have to fill in 18 episodes. But yeah, but yeah, you could tell that these directors like really like again with the like all that, and then it's like fucking like Muse. Even though the old writers really did rush Muse and all that shit, they probably had like a bunch of arcs here and there with the Hector Ayala and then it was Hector Ayala into Muse. They had like an intermission with the fucking like with the bad guys episode. Then we're going to that, but I think they were gonna build it up a lot more over time. And it was like, okay, rush it in. I don't fucking care. I think it was fine ending it off of where we had Muse, but like at the end of it's the Muse shit, and then going straight into that because there's not a lot of space there. Like, sure, whatever the fuck, you go in that direction. It's a fine enough transition. It's just that it was a bit of a drastic, fine but drastic transmission. Or transition between like that and like okay, we're getting into the important shit, which is like the foggy stuff, the bullseye stuff, like the Daredevil stuff, you know. Like it's very apparent that this show, like the new directors really wanted to make as much of what they were given, which is like okay, you got full reign to do a continuation of the OG show. Like you don't have to do it. We don't have to go through anything. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Not whatever the fuck you want, but you can do. You can do what you want. You can do what you envision, but like you gotta fill in the gaps for season 1. But you're not scrapping this much, which I completely understand not wanting to scrap 6 episodes. I think I understand that. I understand it. There's a lot of money spent on those. You're not gonna reshoot them just because you're not gonna use them anymore. Like that's not what you want the show to be. I completely get it, but hopefully, hopefully the show we have like now. Like the season 2 was gonna be a lot better paced. It is looking to be 8 episodes instead of 9, which I mean, fucking hell, this season is already 8 episodes, not counting the fucking Bank Heist episode. I do not get the fucking Bank Heist episode. That episode added nothing, legitimately nothing. Like, I'm being fucking dead ass when I say that the Bank Heist episode added nothing, and it's so weird. Like. it was in the middle of like them of the Daredevil stuff, like, oh, he's gonna come back, and then we have the bank heist, and just he just doesn't do anything aside from being like his violent, and going back to his like violent ways, and where the fuck at the end where he fucking breaks the the criminals like kneecaps. That's it. That's all that episode does, and then like we see Yusuf Khan, but again, that's it. That's it. Nothing more interesting from that. It's just here's Yusuf Khan, fucking like from his mom, which I do like. They're trying to tie in everything here and there, but God, not on a fucking filler episode in a show where I mean I guess I've been saying they could probably spend the time on that sort of stuff, but I don't think it was the best idea, to be completely honest. At least keeping it in. I think it should have been one of those things where they should have cut it. They probably should have cut that episode. It would have made. I think it would have. I think the show, not like by a lot, but it would have been better received because it just did not spend time on that shit. So yeah. But anyways, that is like my big complaint. And it's like the thing is like they just waste characters like I've been saying. It feels like the new writers did not want to use fucking characters at all. They had to retroactively add Punisher back in because I think John Bernthal probably left the show at some point saying, yeah, no, I'm not fucking doing this. I do not have time for your candy ass hero shit. Probably what he told the writers. Because goddamn, I probably would have said this. I would have said the same, looking at whatever the fuck they were doing. I don't. Again, like I said, I would like to know what the original writer's intention was, because an 18 episode season, it's a lot. Like that is a lot, especially with what with how long the episodes are. Like this is one of those shows where I think even if even if it's like if it's really structured, it's one of those shows that does what I constantly say shows should do. It has long episodes to make up for the shorter amount of episodes. Like this show has less episodes than the Netflix shows. For example, it gets less episodes than the shortest Netflix shows, and this is one of the longest Marvel MCU shows, like official MCU shows. So yeah, and so but it does make use of that, even though even though it used in the wrong places. But I would have been very interested to see what the original plan for the show was, like official original plan, instead of just like these 6 episodes that they decided to release. Might be just me in there, but yeah, that's just what I think. I think it would have been interesting to see that come to fruition. Because not come to fruition, but definitely see what, like, for them to talk about what the original plan was. Because I think they probably had it. It's just that oh god, we do not like where the show's going. Because Marvel it was like, oh god, I don't like it. And this was after like the whole debacle with Secret Invasion, which is I think when they decided to do like the restructuring, or after like 2022 slate wasn't like received as well, and like they spent pretty much 2023 like restructuring it. Even though fucking this year they have to go back to that shit. Even though it's gonna be only 3 movies, there's gonna be like 15 billion shows this year. You're familiar with Spider-Man, Daredevil. We have Ice of Wakanda. Oh, Ironheart. Ironheart's airing. Fucking. No, I haven't watched it yet. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I won't watch it for a while. Not because I don't want to, just because I have other stuff to watch. Ice of Wakanda in August. Then there's Marvel Zombies, then Wonder Man. That's 5 shows. That is 5 shows, and it's not stopping for next year because next year we have season 2 of Daredevil. We have the Punisher special, which is we're finally getting more fucking specials. Then we have Vision Quest. You're affiliated with Spider-Man season 2. And if you want to count it as like, you can count it as Marvel Animation, but not Marvel Studios, MCU. X-Men 97 season 2. Finally, for fuck's sake. But yeah, the actual plot of the show of Daredevil is going back to that is messy. I think it's written well, but it is messy because you can tell where each director had a different vision for where they want the show to go, which I understand. They definitely went through different things in the production of the show, but now I think we have a solid, concrete future to look forward to. So let's talk about that actually. All right, so the future, season 2. Obviously, season 2 will be a lot more structurally sound. to put it bluntly, it'll be a lot more structurally sound. We have a concrete set of directors that's currently filming, and it's looking like we're getting a lot of cool stuff with season 2. Like I said, in the Kingpin section, they're adapting Devil's Reign. That is what this show is specifically adapting. It's Devil's Reign, which is when Kingpin becomes mayor and outlaws vigilantes, and it's them versus the vigilantes versus Kingpin. Jessica Jones will be in season 2 along with Punisher. I'm excited to see what they do with Jessica Jones. We know that Angela the Toy is returning. She becomes White Tiger in the comics, which is probably something that they're gonna touch upon here. I don't think they would have introduced that without eventually touching upon that, especially since it's what happens in the comics. Like, Actorella dies, and then Angelo Toro and his daughter Ava take over. I thought they would do Ava, but it seems like they're doing Angela instead, which is fine. I think that's what the chronology is, anyways. Maybe Ava doesn't actually exist in the shows in the MCU continuity. I don't know, but I mean, again, we'll see. But yeah, it's looking like a lot of stuff. Apparently, the actors for Luke Cage and Iron Fist are in New York, which is where Daredevil season 2 is filming. We haven't seen. I think there's been no set photo leaks of them being there, but they are in New York currently. So there's a lot of speculation that they're gonna be in the show. Maybe, maybe not. And also, apparently, I didn't catch this, but when Daredevil says that they need an army, the Spider-Man theme plays at the end. Maybe some Spider-Man stuff is coming. And actually, speaking of Spider-Man stuff, it's we don't know a lot about Brand New Day, but it's very, very possible that Brand New Day could be the finale to the Devil's Reign arc. I know that there's some different things here and there. But I truly do think that's where they're going with the with the characters. With the show, at least, we are definitely 100% getting a finale to it, and that's, I think, what's gonna be really cool. Maybe we'll see in Brand New Day. Maybe we'll see Mr. Negative be the main villain, with Yuri Watanabe, and being whatever his name is. Okay, yeah. Wraith, right? Wraith. Maybe Wraith is there. or something like that. I don't know. Like we'll see what happens with Brand New Day, and also we know that Punisher is gonna be in the movie. There were a lot of like rumors going around that Hulk was gonna be in the movie, but apparently it's gonna be Punisher because what the thing is that like the Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man movies cannot just have like Spider-Man be alone. It has to be with another Marvel character. Then it's like it's gonna be Punisher. Maybe Daredevil's gonna be in it. I don't think they put Punisher just alone here in the Spider-Man movie. But hopefully we'll see that Mr. Negative, Kingpin being the main villains. Maybe Wraith is there as like a vigilante. Like I would hope that Brand New Day does like does like you know does like tie into all of this, and we also have the Punisher special coming out next year. A lot of stuff with street level stuff is coming next year. We have the Punisher special, which will probably deal with like the Punisher breaking out and doing like killing the cops who impersonate him and all that stuff. Probably after season 2 of Born Again is when I think that special would come out. Probably between Born Again season 2 and No Way Home, Brand New Day. But yeah, it'll be really weird if they have like the Spider-Man theme there and then not follow that up with Spider-Man having Spider-Man like not contribute to part of this, to be part of like the Devil's Reign thing when he is part of the Devil's Reign thing, and that Kingpin in Born Again does make mention of Spider-Man. So yeah, I know that a lot of people say that Kingpin can't show up in the movies because there's a weird thing with him and Sony. The thing is that the MCU Spider-Man movies are produced by Sony. They are distributed by Sony. They are produced by Sony. They are not distributed by Disney. So we could see we could see we could see like a conclusion to it within Brand New Day, which I think is gonna be very interesting, and I like that Brand New Day is coming out before Doomsday instead of after, just to kind of wrap up this thing kind of neatly. That's what I think. But yeah, I am very excited to see where they go with this. And now that we have like concrete like people who are gonna work on the show and on this entire thing, I think that we are in safe hands. But for now, we only have this season to go off of. And to be honest, this season has a lot of problems. But it's still good. It's not as good from what I've seen. It's not as good as the original series. But I still think that's serviceable enough continuation that was just bogged down by a lot of studio interference, and probably I think saying you're fired and these guys are gonna replace you and they're gonna fucking do everything else. I think that's some level of studio interference, but yeah. Anyways, I'm giving Born Again season 1 a B tier. It is. I originally was gonna put it A, but then I said, nah. I don't think Daredevil just Born Again just has a lot of problems that really bog it down. But it's not the fault of the new directors or the old directors. It's just, I mean, you could kind of say it's for the fault of the old directors. It's just nothing. It's just a lot of different factors that really brought it down as a show. But yeah, what did you guys think about Daredevil Born Again season 1? Leave in the comments below. All of our socials in the description, and I have a new social. Yes, I had a new one. I have a backlogged account, which is the same thing as Letterboxd and Serialized. You can see what games I am playing, have played, which are all gonna be the ones on the podcast. I have played more games. Don't worry, I have played more games, but I'm only gonna put the ones from the podcast there because it's the ones I can like really remember, like giving like a solid rating to, a solid review to. So yeah. But yeah, and you can also see what games I'm playing. Only two currently, but that's beside the point. And also which games I have on my backlog and which ones I have wish listed. So yeah, cool stuff there. But anyways, yeah, that's all my socials. If you wanna give us our feedback, if you want to tip any of our content on our platforms, you can follow us on Spotify or subscribe on YouTube. If you want to give us your feedback, you can rate us on both platforms. And yeah, share around if you think it's worth sharing. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.